How would you say from all the work that you're doing that, how have careers evolved, right? Because perhaps the one definition of careers, maybe, I don't know, a decade or two a decade ago was a little more predictable or stable to say that, hey, if I got out of my college and maybe I took that degree and I could ride through a career for maybe next 2 to 3 decades. But I don't think that that can hold true anymore. It's not true anymore, right? So, maybe share some insights on how would you say, the whole concept of career itself has evolved.
Yeah, Nikhil, actually, careers are changing so fundamentally, and that's a huge challenge both for organizations and, frankly, for individuals who are working with organizations. So, just as a data point, the World Economic Forum does this annual report. Actually, not every year, but this year they did on the
Sure.
future of jobs, and that came out in May. And about 50 odd percent of most roles are going to change in content over the next 5 years. So that's a lot. That's a lot of change.
Yeah.
Careers, as you rightly said, as we used to think about even a decade ago, were far more stable, where you sort of knew what would happen in a particular role. But today, with the content of that role itself, dramatically shifting, and 50% is an expectation. My own sense is it's going to be a little more than 50% at the rate at which things are changing. What do you actually prepare people for? Because the role may not exist, the business may not exist. Even if the business exists, the role exists, the way the role actually works is going to be quite different. We're not exactly sure how to predict the evolution of a particular role. A lot of it is impacted by technology. I think most of us who work in organizations or with organizations would have a hard time predicting that, say, in 2027, what will be the big technologies which will
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
creating shifts. So it's really, really hard to predict a lot of, stuff around what jobs are going to look like. And that's a big challenge that organizations are facing. In fact, we've worked with some big clients to redefine careers and roles for the future. So we find the time horizon we can work with is no more than 3 years if it is, any tech-related business. If it's manufacturing where contracts and, supplier engagements are, say, 2 or 3 years long, you still have a little more, leeway
Yeah.
in how you plan for it. So it does, it does depend on the industry, and it does depend on how long term your contracts are. So there's a little bit of variation there. But in anything associated with technology, which
Yeah.
is most of our clients, to be honest, 3 years is the max you're able to really say with any degree of confidence.